Welcome once again, everyone. It's Cannabis News. I'm your host, Joe Klare. It's November 19th, 2019. The show, as always, is presented to you by the Marijuana Times, marijuanatimes.org. You can find us there. Click the video tab to find the show, social media links, all that stuff. marijuanatimes.org. Today, we're talking about Missouri considering a cash ban when it comes to how medical marijuana businesses pay taxes. Also, in Tennessee, having some problems at the crime lab, overrun by hemp and marijuana for testing. Yes, that's right. And a Weeds sequel. The show, Weeds sequel, is in the works. All of that coming up. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by Natureside, Naturesidecom, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Grow safe and poison-free with Natureside. Don't use harmful chemicals. Don't use banned pesticides. Get the good stuff, as they say. I don't know who they are, but some people, I'm sure, say that at some point in their life. They say the phrase, get the good stuff. Anyway, get the good stuff from Natureside. Nature-side.com, a proud sponsor of Cannabis News for now over 2 years. Thank you, Natureside. You're awesome. This first story by Jason Sander at marijuanatimes.org. Missouri considers cash ban on tax-paying medical cannabis businesses. Health officials in Missouri are considering a proposal of a ban on medical cannabis companies that would no longer allow these companies to pay taxes, fees, and penalties in cash. The ban has been proposed by the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services. It would impact the way all legal cannabis businesses pay their taxes in Missouri. Of course, the reason for the proposed ban, according to state lawmakers, is because officials are concerned about the challenges and safety issues that can present themselves to state agencies. In other words, they don't be carrying a bunch of cash around because it's a problem. If there's a lot of it, it becomes a robbery target. You have to store it. You have to secure it. All of these things, the cannabis businesses, of course, as Jason points out in the article, around the country have been complaining about now for years, the problem with the all-cash system and not having access to banks and credit unions and whatnot. So now we have a state agency complaining about that very thing. Whether that will advance things, Jason mentions, of course, the Safe Banking Act passing through the House earlier this year. Whether that will go any further, who knows? But it's an obvious problem with an obvious fix. And as we all know, governments, whatever level you're at in government, local, state, or federal, they're not good at that. Not good at identifying an easy solution to something and then saying, hey, let's do that. Let's go and get that fixed and get it out of the way so we can worry about other problems. They just let that problem pile up with all of the other ones. And, I mean, the cynical part of me wants to say that even, with Missouri, this is not going to change things on a grand scale with the state agency in Missouri saying, hey, there's a problem with the cash, having so much cash, because it's an obvious problem that everyone knows about, and still nothing has been done or is being done to correct it, at least not in a timely fashion. This next story is from WRCTVcom. That's right. It's a link in the description of this video if you don't remember what I just said. It's out of Tennessee. TBI crime labs overrun by hemp marijuana testing. That's right. Now, there's a couple problems I have with this article. Maybe not necessarily with the article itself, but with just the whole notion, the whole thing. Anyway, the article, let's get a little bit in the article. The testing of hemp and marijuana is one of the biggest challenges facing law enforcement officers in Tennessee, according to WRCB. Investigators with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said the inability to tell the difference is impacting their resources. Remember that word, their resources. Mike Little, Assistant Director of the Forensic Services Division, says it's an issue they are constantly dealing with. We've run into some confusion with law enforcement officers when they encounter plant material in the field and what it actually might be. In other words, if it's hemp or marijuana. Both come from the same plant, it's hard to tell the difference, blah, 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 boo-hoo-hoo. It's such a big problem that law enforcement can't tell the difference between hemp and marijuana. It's the only way to determine the difference is to do increased chemical testing to determine what it is. Years ago, we could simply put it under a microscope and for a color test for properties unique to the plant, cannabis sativa, and we were done. In other words, it was cannabis, so it was illegal, therefore they can move on. After thousands of submissions to the lab, TBI decided to implement a new 3-step testing process to try to expedite things. The average turnaround for a drug test is about 30 weeks for TBI's crime lab in Knoxville. The length of time is partially due to hemp, Little said. We're on the path this year to receive almost 34,000 drug cases. That's a 50% increase without subsequent resources and staff. So here's a couple of the problems I have. One, it doesn't differentiate in this article between the marijuana testing section of the crime lab and the crime lab overall. So are things being delayed just in the marijuana section? Or are they being delayed in the crime lab in total? We've had this discussion before with the untested rape kits problem, which how this became a problem is absolutely beyond me. But the notion that we're going to devote any resources to testing between hemp and marijuana when things like rape kits and stuff like that have not been tested. I guess my problem is it just delaying the marijuana section, or is it taking resources from the entire crime lab? The article's really not clear on that. If it's taken from the entire crime lab, which I think it would be, because if they had less delays in the marijuana section, they could just take some of those people and move them to another section, to the the untested rape kit section. Should we get that cleared away? Shouldn't they just be tested as they come in? Isn't that where we want that portion of our criminal justice system to be? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Maybe some of you are like, nah, we need to see if this is hemp, this plant that got from somebody on the road. We need to see if it's hemp. It's very important for what we're doing here. I don't know. It's bizarre to me. There's no other way to put it. It's bizarre to me that anyone can be okay with us testing hemp if there are things like untested rape kits, fingerprints from a robbery, anything like that. Any sort of violent crime. Shouldn't all that stuff be done first? I don't know. I can't affect change here from my little perch at Cannabis News. Try as I might, I can't just go up to somebody and say, hey, dummy, here's an untested rape kit. Test it. You're supposed to be testing some marijuana right now. That's fine. It'll be fine. Leave it there. It'll be cool. Go test this rape kit. See if there's any DNA to catch a rapist. No? Maybe? I feel like I'm defending something that needs no defending at all. I feel like I'm defending a position that is impossible to assail. It's impossible to say, no, we should test other things before the rape kits. There's no way you can make that argument. So my argument is secure. I shouldn't have to defend it so much, but here I am. I don't know. It's a weird thing. So anyways, they're going to spend more money to hire more people. They want more money so they can test hemp and marijuana because that's important. That's what's important. I don't know. It's the last story from Varietycom. Weeds, a sequel series in the works at Stars. Works with an S. Stars with a Z. It's an exclusive Variety story. Follow-up to the dark comedy series Weeds is in development at Stars, with Lionsgate Television producing. Variety has learned exclusively. The new show picks up with the Botwin family 10 years after the events of the original series in an era of legalization. I don't know if I ever finished Weeds. I watched a lot of seasons of it, but I don't know if I ever actually finished the series. I don't remember how it ends whatsoever. So maybe I didn't. Maybe I will need to if I want to watch the sequel. Weeds star Mary Louise Parker is attached to star in and executive produce the potential new series. Hails from writer and executive producer Victor Morrow, who previously worked as a writer and eventually co-executive producer on the original Weeds. Weeds creator Genji Cohen is not attached to the project at this time. Lionsgate CEO John Feltmeyer confirmed the news on the company's earnings call on Tuesday, referring to it as Weeds 4.20. It's a funny notion to me. A guy, CEO's on an earnings call talking about Weeds 4.20. But hey, that's Hollywood. As excited as we were about the new series, I want to remind everyone that the old is also new, and we're pleased to be bringing two of the most acclaimed shows in television history, Mad Men and Weeds, to the global syndication marketplace next year. So they got Mad Men as well. And Weeds 4.20 is already in active development at Stars. So we'll see if that goes through. Weeds began airing on Showtime in 2005. Wrapped up after 8 seasons and over 100 episodes in 2012, so it's been gone for 7 years. Racked up 20 Emmy nominations over the course of its run. So be on the lookout for that. I know there's some people in the cannabis community who don't care for weeds and the show and the way it portrayed people in the cannabis community. When I saw it of itself, it was a good show, at least for the seasons that I saw, which I don't even remember how many there were. And even though the series is on Netflix and in full, as last I checked, that may end soon, I don't know, or may have already ended. I haven't checked recently. I wasn't into it enough, I guess, to at least make sure that I knew how it ended or make sure that I watched the end of it to see where things went. In any case, there may be a sequel, so there you go, Weeds fans. That's going to do it for Cannabis News. We're 5 days a week, marijuanatimes.org. You can find us on Apple Podcasts if you want the audio version of the show. Find the video version on YouTube and Vimeo if you subscribe on YouTube. Click the notification bell so you know when a new episode has dropped. As we do, 5 of them a week, as I mentioned. Thank you to Natureside, nature-side.com, and their organic, all-natural pesticides. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening today, and we'll see you next time right here on Cannabis News.